Welcome to Golden Mastermind Seminars Radio with your host, Jeffery Combs.
Breathe, release, and let go. Jeffery Combs. Good to be here with you this afternoon on 2-4-Tuesday. It is Tuesday, May 2nd, year of our Lord, 2023. Breathe, release, and let go. Good to be here with you on a rainy, bizarre day. Rainy, sunny day. How's that for contradiction? Rainy Sunday, Tuesday. Thank you for being here on Facebook Live this afternoon on Breathing and Releasing. Amy Gilbert, good to see you this afternoon. As always, it is good to be here with any and all of you. And the topic for today's Facebook Live is breathing and releasing. Amy, so many great memories of Long Island with you. Good afternoon. Breathe, release, and let go. Anna Lee Rose from Canada, good to see you this afternoon. Breathe, release, and let go. Tamara, good to see you. Mari, good to see you in Northern California. Topic for today's Facebook Live is breathe and release. And what you're releasing is scarcity consciousness. So that's my topic for today, is really releasing the scarcity, the scarcity, the toxic energy we hold on to, the broke thoughts, the poverty consciousness, the lack mentality that you were conditioned to believe that you were to hold on to. This content's also directed at letting go of being conditioned and groomed that you were selfish. So if you are seeking to enlighten yourself, if you're seeking wisdom, if you're seeking to create more money or to start a business, there are many people in the world that will tell you that you are selfish. Susan, so good to see you this afternoon. Always an honor to see you. Corey Van Winkle, good to see you. Stacy Birkland, Scott Lucas, Matt Smith. Thank all of you for being here this afternoon. And I had an exceptional call with Tamara this morning, and we were discussing this topic on when you're in business and all of a sudden you make a sale, then you go, oh my God, you make this sale, or you're in sales and you make a sale and you immediately, your body reacts to that stimulus and you're in fight or flight, like, oh my God, now the spotlight's on me. Oh my God, they're shining the light on me. Oh my God, there's so much pressure. This is the analytical egoic mind based on being traumatized by narcissists, people who use guilt to control us, and other groomers, pedophiles, perpetrators, and people who have taken advantage of us over our life. People who have beaten us with sticks, people who have beaten us with rulers, belts, yardsticks, all these other situations that we endured this trauma that the body holds on to. And it's so debilitating for so much of the free enterprise, network marketing, direct sales, the coaching industry, the people who really seek to break through this invisible veil of anxiety, fear, and doubt. I created this CD set, this audio program, back in 2008. It's called Psychology of Asking. This is my signature product. Any of you that are my coaching clients, that came in your back office. I immediately sold 10,000 units of that in the first year of that coming out back in the day, mostly to a large real estate group that I was their mindset coach back in the day when they would have 3,000 people at their events in Glendale, Arizona. I was one of their keynote speakers, and I'd been affiliated with that program since 1998. So I was deeply immersed in teaching those real estate investors and those people in real estate how important it is to let go of their anxiety about the outcome. So it's no accident that the term real estate, that's where it really comes from in Latin. It means it's real, it's realistic. Your estate, and that's what real estate is. It's real, tangible assets that most people never actually own. And even when most people own real estate, they don't understand that there's another layer of owning that property, and it's called allodial title, O-L-L-O-D-I-A-L. It's spelled similar to that. It's allodial title. And if you understand that, then you are a true patriot. If you understand what allodial title means, that you understand what common law means, and that means that's the whole next layer of what is yours by divine right. And so the law of man is really the law of the land. And then the maritime law is also called the law of the sea. This isn't confusing. This is real. These are the real laws of the universe that very few people ever understand. And then we operate in the law of magistrates, which is under the law of black magic. And then a lot of the black magic that's taught to us is just handed down from generation to generation. And then we live in this low self-esteem. We're easily manipulated and controlled. And we stand in line and we comply with other people's wishes and desires. Well, mine will be FT for today. I won't say it, but you can feel it. You can feel that grind, that edge. So that would be my pronoun for the day, the FT. So, I mean, that's really what this means, is to be able to step into your power. And that means that it's going to be your responsibility, like you right there, to breathe, release, and let go. That's an affirmation I've used for years in my own recovery. In my early 12-step recovery, let go and let God was such an important metaphor for me, because I entered the 12 steps as somewhere between atheist and agnostic. I had no spiritual beliefs. I had no grounding in God. Unfortunately, for the grace of God, I was able to find that in 1988 and 89. That was the beginning of that process. Now, 34 years in this recovery process, I've been teaching for the last 25 years to breathe. That's the breath. So the breath separates you from the past, because neurons that wire together fire together. And so what so many of us become addicted to is the fight or flight mechanism. It's the automatic reflex of, oh my God, I just closed a sale. Now the spotlight's on me. Oh my God, I just accomplished something. Oh, there's so much pressure. Now it doesn't feel that way in a job because there's a buffer. The ego in a business feels out there alone. I'm out there. I'm not sure if I can put myself out there. I better go back to my cage and sell in a job where I can make 60 and 70 and 80,000 a year rather than 60 and 80,000 in a month. Now, there are a few women on this call right here today, and a few people on this call right here today as Facebook Live, that are in this process of creating those results in free enterprise, because in free enterprise, you can create and or attract what the free market will bear, meaning there are no limitations, only the ones that you place upon yourself. In network marketing, direct sales, real estate investing, insurance, being an insurance broker, multitude of situations, being a coach, an influencer, an affluencer, as you start to understand the laws that govern money, numismatic law, that's the laws that govern money, not from the FDIC, not from the Federal Reserve Bank, not from what you're offered on jobs, but what you feel you are capable of creating in free enterprise. And when you go into that fight or flight, that autonomic response, that's a reaction. What I teach my clients is how to respond to the stimulus versus the reaction. The reaction is the autonomic auto-suggestion that Napoleon Hill talks about in his classic 1937 book, Think and Grow Rich. So auto-suggestion is an autonomic response based on the neurons that wire and fire on trauma that is unresolved, that is held on to. It's either in repressed feelings, those are the ones we don't remember, or the suppressed feelings, the one that we continue to sabotage ourselves over and over. I'm about to go on a trip to an event. I've won this trip, but I don't feel I'm worthy and good enough. I better find a way to sabotage it. I better find a way to screw it up. I know what I'll do. I'll get sick right before the event, and that way I'm off the hook. That's what the lower self, the ego, does to rob you by not being good enough. And I have 30 days of sobriety. Oh my God, I'm going to get that chip. I better screw it up so that I don't have to get that chip, and there might be more pressure on me to have 90 days of sobriety. That's what the ego does, the lower self. That's why when you feel these feelings, it's so important that you empathically step into your power, that you intuitionally step up the ladder of courage into your power and breathe and release and let go of that anxiety, that fear and that doubt that's connected to trauma and unresolved issues that we continue to hold on to. You are so worth it. You are good enough. The price you pay is worth the effort. It is so. Ask Susan Dampier, who's on today's Facebook Live, or any multitude of people who have crossed that threshold, who have gone over the barrier, who are living in free enterprise on their terms and their time frame, then if you've ever had the courage to be able to stay in that space long enough to master your emotions so you can be in command of your own destiny, if you've ever been through this process, you will understand that the pleasure was absolutely worth the pain that you went through. Thank you, Kevin. That was a great compliment. That's good, Chief. That is awesome. So when you live in fight or flight, when you live in that, your body's just going to react on command without even understanding why. You'll sabotage situations, you'll avoid, you'll procrastinate, you'll make mistakes to fulfill your feelings of not being good enough. And that is spelled THE, the payoff. So the reflexes that you live in fight or flight are going to be anxiety, fear, and doubt. And the more you understand that, now you can begin to breathe, release, and let go of that. So nothing is normal in this world when it comes to this. It's conditional. It's conditioned behavior. And this is what you see is happening right here in the last 4 years. A lot of trauma-based mind control, situations being shoved down our throat. We're expected to just stand and take it. And that's what many people do, is they bow right in. And you'll see some of this in society. You've seen a lot of it in society in the last 4 years. But those who have the courage to lean into it don't buy into that dogma, don't buy into that philosophy, and they stay in a different level of energy. Why most of the world and most of society will actually go into fight or flight and drop down into a very low energetic state, and that cuts off your breathing. Breathing is your key to life, and that's what so many people require to understand. There's a Wim Hof breathing technique. I teach a very simple breathing technique where you access the breath from your diaphragm. You bring it up to the back of your mouth. You hold it in the back of your mouth. You release it, and you let your whole cervical, your thoracic, and your lumbar spine just fall right into alignment with your body. It's a tremendous release. And instead of releasing cortisol that you become accustomed to, the stress reflex that so many people live in, the gut reflex that so many people live in, when you learn to take that breath, it changes the physiology between the brain fog that you hold on to and your gut. When you're in fight or flight all day long, it absolutely affects your gut. It also affects your bladder. It creates incontinence. It creates prostate issues. It creates irritable bowel syndrome. It creates overactive bladder and a whole host of other situations because you're in contraction. And in that contraction, there's no life. There's no life that's being given because you're holding on to a set of feelings. And then you'll recreate the same situation to fulfill the same conditioned behaviors that you hold on to, which once again, it spells the PAYOFF, the payoff. And when the pleasure is no longer worth the pain, that's when you will begin to let go of the payoff. And the payoff is disappointment. And that's what so many people become addicted to. Frustration, disappointment, feeling guilty, feeling shame, and feeling selfish, worrying about what other people are going to say, think, and talk about me, when in reality, very, very few people ever even say the things that you worry about. And you will, when you continue to hold on to these same set of feelings, then the payoff is imminent. That's where you live. To be able to separate yourself and separate your feelings from the events that shape them, that's why breathing is one of the first step to this transformation. Your word choices, word is law. The way you communicate and the way you articulate will determine who and what you attract. When someone asks you a question, you go into absolute fight or flight, you will have challenges answering. I cover this in great detail and right here in the psychology of asking. When you continue to hold on to the same situation, when you hold on to the same trauma bonds, when you're worried about the same set of circumstances and people, you'll continue to attract the same situation to fulfill the same feelings. THE, payoff, the payoff. The payoff is very challenging for most people to understand because their ego doesn't want to believe that. The ego wants to stay in denial, when in reality, the payoff is what we do to avoid our own success, to avoid our own experiences, to avoid greatness, to avoid breaking through, to avoid the responsibility of being successful, whether it's in sobriety, recovery, owning a business, being a great parent, any multitude of situations, we stay in the payoff to fulfill the feeling. The most common way that people change is rock bottom, when the pain is great enough. It's a very exhausting, overrated experience that is not necessary for you to go through that situation to be able to fulfill those feelings. When you begin to let go, that's the separation. So the breath begins the separation between the feelings and the events, because the breath is what allows you to separate the neurons that wire and fire that form a feeling. A feeling is the emotions that you hold on to. Whenever you go into fight or flight, remember, that's all it is. It's just a feeling. It's not a fact. The events are long behind you, but the feeling is what lingers from what you're continuing to hold on to. When the ego goes, yeah, but how do I? It's not a how do I. It's a committed I am state of breathing, releasing, and letting go. And that breath cycle that you begin to manifest throughout the day will separate you from fight or flight. As you begin to do this over time, the body goes back into its original state when the way that it should be, in a very relaxed state called consciousness. Consciousness is when you know. You already know you know, but you doubt that you know. So when you doubt what you know, then you don't really know. So even though you do know, you don't know. And so that keeps you in that same situation in an overwhelmed state, which then gives you permission to live in that payoff of disappointment. The separation between the feelings and the events is what letting go is. So the release is when you're changing the relationship between the way the neurons wire and fire. The release is when you're no longer the mind-body connection. The release is the magical, mythical moment when you break through and you stop worrying about a future that hasn't happened. You realize when a good man or a good woman shows up, the breakthrough is you realize that you deserve it. Or you receive an award. You don't doubt that that you deserve that award. Or when you receive a compliment, you're actually able to receive that compliment because you're releasing the scarcity consciousness. When you're in scarcity, then compliments will also be scarce. When you live in scarcity, your soulmates, your teammates will also be scarce because you'll attract your reality the same situation to fulfill the same set of feelings. When you live in scarcity, it's very challenging to be able to manifest. And when you live in that scarcity, it's going to be challenging for you to be able to attract exactly what you deserve because you don't deserve anything. That's the selfishness, that's the guilt and the shame that so much of the world lives in because how they've been conditioned by a groomer, by a narcissist, by society, a multitude of family members, and then the 20,000 meals that you shared with the wrong financial planners by the time you are 18. As you begin to change the way you feel about yourself, the universe, opportunities, free enterprise, owning a business, entrepreneurship, insurance, direct sales, network marketing, real estate, being an influencer, being an affluencer, owning a business, the ability to attract employees, teammates, soulmates, as you change your dialogue with yourself. There isn't any good help out there. There aren't any good teammates out there. There isn't any money out there. There aren't any good men. There aren't any good women. If that's your communication style, then that is what you will continue to manifest. That is lack, scarcity, poverty consciousness, and overwhelmed feelings. You'll win the trip and sabotage yourself by getting sick before you get on the plane. The person shows up ready to buy and you're so overwhelmed at the possibility of the person showing up ready to buy that you will screw it up. And that's unfortunately what so many people do. Someone is telling you they're ready to purchase from you and you get so, you're JoJo the Indian Circus boy or girl, and you get so overwhelmed that you miss it. Or you service a contract, you finish the contract and you do not send the bill to get paid. This happens to so many good people. And then they have this uncollectible income out there that they can't collect because they don't do this. They don't feel worthy of asking for it. The psychology of asking. Ask and ye shall receive. Ask and ye shall be given. Ask in a very relaxed body. Ask, deserve, and receive. Asking is a key skill. This is why many people are not closers, because they're not comfortable in asking because of the story, the way they've been groomed and conditioned. Children are to be seen, not heard. It's not polite to ask. Don't ask because you don't deserve anything. Sit right down there and don't say a word. I mean, there's so much conditioned behavior that hinders people from being able to ask for the outcome, ask for the commitment, ask for what they deserve, ask for a date, ask for the money, ask for payment, ask for compensation. This is what happens to so many people because they're so overwhelmed about an outcome that hasn't happened based on a past event that they just live in that anxiety, fear, and doubt. And then that leads to multitudes of addiction, cutting, burning, anorexia, bulimia, compulsive debting, gambling, alcoholism, drug addiction, pharmaceutical addiction, opiates, compulsive debting, gambling. That's what we use to fulfill our low self-esteem. Vaping, nicotine, marijuana. I mean, just you name the addiction, and most of us have lived multitudes of multi-addictions. Those of us who actually stepped into the courage to be and stay sober, we do it one day at a time. We do it by breathing, releasing, and letting go. We learn to let go and let God. We learn to do it one day at a time. We learn to say the serenity prayer, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the wisdom to know the difference, and the courage and all that. And when you do this, you are breathing, releasing, and letting go. Right here. Here's a 1-year chip. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Thine self be true. Right there. I mean, that's a 1-year chip that was given to me in 1989 for 1 year. I mean, that was 33 years ago. You can absolutely do this. Go to bed tonight by breathing, releasing, and letting go. Breathe, release, and let go. You absolutely deserve to be your best self. Tyrone, good to see you. Netta, good to see you. Wendy, thank you for joining here this afternoon. John McFadden, thank you for being here this afternoon. Tyrone said he has 15 years. Tyrone, that is amazing. I'm honored to be here with you. Practice your breathing skills today. Take a long, deep breath. Bring it into the back of your mouth. Release and let it go. Use affirmations. Breathe, release, and let go. No longer the mind-body connection to the events that shape the feelings. Thank you, Mari. I appreciate that. Netta, hello. Kevin said decide. And thank all of you who've commented here on today's Facebook Live. If you have not accessed a free 20-minute coaching session, today is an absolutely great day to receive that opportunity. If you'd like to speak to me, send me a message in Facebook Messenger. If you'd like to add on to your existing coaching package, feel free to send me a message. Or if you would like to hire me or rehire me, you can also send me a message. I have an additional $2,000 value for anyone who hires me today, the second day of May, year of our Lord, 2023. You have an outstanding afternoon today. Goodbye.